So, Pete's Mind, it's been a crazy day. Did you see Binance Chain got hacked? We're still counting up the damages, if you will, but it should be like a $650 million hack. And like this is yet another case of a bridge being hacked. We had Ronin hacked from Axie Infinity, Wormhole. Louise Harmony. Now this.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty clear that the bridge model where it stores these tokens in one pool is just very, very poor. Binance's latest update is they did confirm there's a potential exploit, but they say the systems are contained, they're investigating, but all funds are safe. So this suggests to me that they're going to be able to roll back the chain from before this hack happened. Because if you remember, a blockchain is just a distributed ledger. So whoever's in charge of this ledger can simply input whatever the hell they want. It's a form of a hack itself, essentially. So they're basically rehacking the chain to say, no, this is the truth. And they're right technically. But what this does is it shows that BNB is not an immutable blockchain. Is this a good thing or a bad thing for blockchains to respond to massive hacks by trying to do the right thing, but also compromising their own technical integrity at the same time?
It's totally a good question, man. Because if you think about it, like the point of the Bitcoin blockchain, for instance, is to have, sequentially ordered transactions, for that to be set in stone every 10 minutes, right? A block is mined. That block is memorialized by every single validating node and mining node across. And it's like, everybody mines that sort of blockchain. So you all have one monolithic source of truth. And now you can't go back and reverse transactions in a blockchain, right? You can't go back and do that. And so the way that Binance would kind of get out of this kind of pickle is by rolling back the chain and reversing all the transactions that had occurred since the second that hack originated, basically. So they'd roll back time in the blockchain sense, right? And how would they do that? They would get all of the nodes who are validating the blockchain, right? All of the nodes who should be sufficiently decentralized, who cannot be co-opted. Essentially, there is, a co-opting of this network to say, we're deleting every transaction up until that point. So it wouldn't matter if you were a Binance trader, right? And you had been trading on, the Binance Smart Chain DEX, and you had some very profitable transactions. It just so happened it was like, 5 or 10 minutes after this hack occurred. Those are all going to be wiped out potentially if they kind of go through with this rollback. Again, the other scenario of how they get this whole thing fixed is they put out a bounty and say, hey, you got us. Please give us back like what, 10% or 25%, and we'll go our separate ways. Otherwise, we're going to get the best FBI, the sort of best criminal investigations on your butt, and we're going to make you give it back, and you're going to go to jail for a long time. Like those are kind of the only two sort of paths I see Binance taking going forward. What do you think?
Yeah, that's true. Historically, we have seen pretty big hacks. They can't be reversed. They simply just put out an offer to the hacker, say, keep 10% for yourself, show us what you did, help us fix it, and that's the cost of doing business. I think both models of both immutability and a slight area for compromise can work. There's a place for both in this ecosystem, and I think it should be up to.
That's what happened with Ethereum. If you think about it, the DAO hack back in 2016.
Yep.
Ethereum Classic has the hack. Ethereum rolled back the chain to before the DAO hack. So it's like, it's interesting.
It's not unprecedented, and I think this should be a governance issue that is addressed, where there's a best practices put in place from each chain where they decide, in the event of a hack north of X amount of money, this is how we're going to handle it. And whether it's, say, okay, we're going to roll back the chain, but part of these funds are going to be slashed or penalized from the project that caused this hack, and that's going to go get split between the validators for participating, or whatever the case is. I think there should be like a disaster recovery plan in place for every proof of work chain that has the capability to do this. But with proof of work, you really don't, unless you're going to hard fork the chain like Ethereum did back in 2016.
Yeah. It's interesting to see, because a lot of how the hack kind of occurred was like, again, somehow he was able to withdraw 2 million Binance tokens from the bridge, right? And he withdrew, which is like 500 million bucks. He withdrew them, and then he went and deposited those, I think, into a platform called Venus, which is like maybe some type of money market, where he deposited the Binance tokens that he just basically stole out of thin air. And in return, he borrowed hundreds of millions of stable coins, right? Tether and USDC. And so he now has these stable coins, and he's trying to, like, figure out how to get these, I guess, off. And Tether froze his tether that he had borrowed. So there was one instance of, like, and I'm sure Circle would do the same. So I kind of struggle to see what his end goal is, how he's gonna, actually end up taking money, out of this system. Like, I think he's dead in the water, because at the end of
Yeah,
the
I
day,
would
he can
agree
have the
with you.
assets frozen.
Yeah, it is very, very difficult to hack and get away with a large sum of crypto these days.
Yeah, these are bad
Every
guys.
exchange and wallet and major token issue is working together. They have private Telegram groups where they're in conversation with each other real time. You have things like CipherTrace and Chainalysis following in these coin movements and being able to track them, even through mixers to some degree. Very, very difficult to be a successful hacker these days. Once you have those funds, it's definitely in your best interest to take that 10% offer if one's made, or simply just return it.
Just don't do
Crypto
bad
is not a space for
things.
bad actors anymore. It just
Just don't
isn't.
do bad things. It's just infuriating to me that we have such great technology that could promote such inclusive financial inclusion, right, with everyone. And that was such a stupid statement. Inclusive financial inclusion. But at the end of the day, it's like, we have good technology that could, bring lending and borrowing and credit scores to areas that have never had those, right? But instead, there's got to be hackers to go and break shit. And I don't know, it's pretty frustrating at the end of the day.
Yeah. Now there's bug bounties out there on just about every major platform that are north of 250K, some even north of a million. If you are a good guy and you report a bug that can be exploited like this, whoever did this could have made at least six figures just by simply sending an email and not draining these funds and putting a big black stain on the cheek of Binance Chain right now. So it's just not necessary anymore. You can
Yeah.
still make a lot of money in this space by being a good guy.
Yeah. By being a white hat hacker and helping people, pen test, right? Penetrate test code and
That's right.
stuff. Like, I don't know. That would be a good outlet for a lot of these guys. But instead, they've got a death wish, and it's insane. And they've got an invincibility complex that thinks that they could go do this, where they think they're just not going to get caught. It's ridiculous.
The funny thing is, the best hackers I've ever met were all like 14 and 15 and had no life experience to have the wisdom of how to control the skills that they have. They're just rebels without a cause doing stuff just to see if they could. So it wouldn't surprise me if this is another case like that. And, just hopefully the money gets back and Binance Chain
Yeah,
gets
because a
back
lot
to
of real
good
people are
times.
hurt right now. If you think about it, it's like people who are, providing liquidity on these smart, dexes, and people who are holding the BNB tokens, or it's just, and it's just gonna end badly. So anyhow, we're ranting now at this point.
Yeah. But for what it's
Hopefully,
worth, this is the first major security issue that they've had in their 2 or 3 years of existence. So not
Binance,
bad. Yeah.
I remember Binance got hacked like in 2019.
Well, what happened was it was a coordinated phishing attack on these open APIs that they had. So there was a bunch of user accounts that were compromised that were all exploited at one time. Binance itself wasn't actually compromised in this case. So this is the first time that their chain is even being exploited.
Yeah.
But their
So we'll
centralized
see.
exchange never has.
Yeah.
So in any case, they do a lot of good for the world. CZ is one of our favorite people in the space. Measures his success by how many people he's helped. So sucks to see something like this happen to good people, but they will recover from it. They always do.
Here, they're actually just tweeting right now. They say 1 minute ago, initial estimates for funds taken off BSC are between 70 million and 80 million. However, thanks to the community and our internal and external security partners, An estimated $7 million has already been frozen. We're humbled by the speed and the collaboration. So I don't get it. So now it's still developing, I guess. Like, they're still being hacked. 80 to 70 million is a hell of a lot different than 500 or 600 million, but that's still a sizable amount of money.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll keep you apprised of the situation in future updates. But in the meantime, there's a hell of a lot of apps and exchanges and things that are just going to be down right now.
Yeah.
So it just highlights the importance of building cross-chain in the first place. If you're building on anything, whether it's Amazon Web Services or Facebook or Twitter or one blockchain, if something happens to that service provider, you are completely dead in the water. Redundancy is absolutely critical. And that's why we've been talking about the importance of interoperability on our podcast since early 2021. And it's great to see that that trend is taking hold, but there's still a lot of work left to do.